Hello, everyone. Brittany Morris-Saunders. I'm head of external affairs for Amazon here in Denver and want to welcome all of you to the 10th annual Denver Startup Week. Thank you so much for being here. We have an amazing program this morning focused on small business. At Amazon, supporting our small and medium-sized businesses is at the core of what we do. In Denver, we have over 34,000 small and medium-sized businesses who sell on our Amazon store. Their success is our success. We also have amazing partners at Amazon Web Services at AWS who have supported many of the startups that are participating this week and are growing into second stage and beyond. So today, we are very delighted to have Tami Dorr with the Downtown Denver Partnership here and a panel full of Amazon and AWS representatives, as well as our small business sellers and our companies who have grown through these resources. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce my boss and friend, former boss, used to be boss, and friend, Tami Dorr. We just want to extend our thanks and gratitude to her for the past 17 years of service to downtown Denver, and especially for starting Denver Startup Week 10 years ago. So thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. You know what? I can't tell you how excited that Denver Startup Week is to be partnering with Amazon this year during Startup Week. It's an incredible platform for businesses to launch, reach broad markets, build relationships, collaborate. And, you know, as Brittany referenced, we had the opportunity to work together for many years. She's a key leader in the community. And I just think her at Amazon is just going to even unite all of our collective work together going forward. So, you know what? We have this incredible panel today with these great stories. We're going to hear a lot more, but I encourage you all to dig deep. Entrepreneurs out there that are thinking about how to grow their platform and how to scale. I mean, look, this is an incredible place to do it. So what I'd like to do today is have each of you do a self-introduction, and then we're just going to dive right in. We're going to have some questions, but as we go along, please, just jump in conversationally. I think it would be great. So we're going to start right here to my right. We're going to start with Brandy. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself, and then we'll work our way right on down the panel. Welcome, Brandy.
Thanks, Tami. Testing. Am I good? Okay, awesome. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to those who are watching. My name is Brandy Nellums. My official title is here on the screen. Small Business Empowerment PR Manager, have some executive communications responsibilities as well. But at the heart of it all, I'm a small business enthusiast who really has the privilege of helping to shape the narrative around small business success in partnership with Amazon, as well as tell the stories of these small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs who partner with us. The highlight of my day is connecting with people like Angel, who will introduce herself shortly, who sells on Amazon, who was a selection for Oprah's Favorite Things, and to learn her story, her background, what brought her to Amazon, and how selling on Amazon has impacted her business. So that's a little about me.
Well, welcome, and we look forward to learning a bit more. Yep. Why don't we just jump in, Eric?
Yeah, I'm Eric Fegler. I run the startup team at AWS. And before I jump in on kind of my job and who I am, I want to thank you for being here. This has been on my bucket list. I was previously at Simple Energy, now Uplight, and Boulder to startup, and it's always been one of my kind of aspirations to be on a panel at Denver Startup Week. So check, that's done. Happy to be here.
And in our 10th anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, what a better way to start the day. So I do run the startup team. I'll get into more about what that means, but we're a collection of startup experts, former founders, entrepreneurs, investors who deeply understand startups, and we help them and support them through their growth. Outside of work, I'm a Colorado native, probably one of the few. I am on the board at Craig Hospital. If you don't know what that is, it's a spinal cord and traumatic brain injury rehab facility. I'm active in disabled sports, and outside of this, in the wintertime, you'll see me on the slopes in my sit ski or out on mountain bike, and I've loved the fact that accessibility around Colorado. So that's a little bit about me and my job.
Thanks for sharing that added point. I mean, Colorado is renowned for making sure that we make our outdoor environment inclusive. So it's great to see you leading on multiple fronts.
We still have room to improve, though.
Yeah.
That's a different topic.
So entrepreneurs out there that are interested in this area, you should connect with Eric on this. All right, well, thank you. Oprah's favorite things, that's pretty cool.
Hi, my name is Angel Johnson. I'm the founder of ICONI. It's a motivational activewear line for women and men. It stands for I Can Overcome Nothing's Impossible. I started ICONI when I was active military captain in the Air Force. I was stationed at Buck, and now I'm a veteran, so different lifestyle. But I started the company because I wanted different activewear that was motivational in the market, and then the way we really connect to the Denver community. I've been in Denver for about 3 years now. 10% of our profits go to nonprofit organizations like Close to Kids of Denver, Girls on the Run of the Rockies, and I just love giving back and helping out the community in Denver. Thank you.
Thank you. Where can we find your product?
You can find products on iconileggings.com. Thank you.
So let's see how many we can sell during this panel.
I like that idea. That's great.
Go. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity. This is a great event where we can meet great people and partner with. Oops, sorry. All right, so I'll start again. My name is Reza Golgoon. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you today. This is a great event where we can all meet and exchange ideas, even though we might be in different industries. And it's great that it's a local community that we can always reach out to. So I really appreciate the opportunity. I had the platform engineering team at Pi. Platform engineering is basically all of IT operations at Pi. Things like cloud infrastructure, project management for delivery, application support, and those kinds of things. So we're deep in operations, and we're very close with AWS. That's one of the responsibilities of my team. I've been with Pi Insurance for about a little over 2 years, and it's been great. It's a very exciting environment. We're very much, into helping each other, whether it's at work or outside of work. We're very passionate about the Denver community and small business owners, more specifically. So thank you for having me here.
It's our pleasure. And we'll be using that term AWS throughout the panel. Just a reminder, Amazon Web Services. So, continue to use the acronym, but it's good to just remind everybody as to what that refers to. Let's go ahead and start with Brandy. And maybe if you could talk a little bit about your small business empowerment role at Amazon and how the company works with small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a number of ways, I think in my intro, I shared kind of what the highlight of my role is and having the opportunity to connect with, learn from, grow alongside many of our small business partners. But as Brittany said, supporting small business success is really at the center of what we do at Amazon. Just a handful of years ago, we were a small business, a startup out of Jeff Bezos's garage ourselves. So small business is at the core there. And as we center customers, we always talk about we're a very customer-centric company. It also means that we have to center our partners to ensure that we're delivering for our customers. So at Amazon, we partner with more than 2 billion small businesses every day. They sell in our stores, they partner with us and build with AWS. They operate logistics and delivery service businesses that deliver smiles to your door every day if you're anything like me and shop on Amazon daily. They also build Alexa skills. And again, there are more than 2 billion worldwide who work with us. So we are all about empowering small business success at Amazon.
2 billion.
2 billion.
That's remarkable to me. I deeply believe that business has played a major role in building our country's small businesses in particular. And so not only are you building these companies, you're helping them create jobs, establish people's livelihoods. That's a pretty powerful mission. It does not go unnoticed in Denver Startup Week, or unrecognized, I should say.
Thank you. I mean, and like Brittany said in her opening, there are nearly 35,000, I think the exact number is 34,500 small businesses here in Colorado who partner with Amazon for Success, or I didn't mention earlier, publish their own books through Kindle Direct Publishing. And so it's a large community and growing. The opportunity to partner with Amazon is not COVID proof necessarily, but as we see increased reliance on online selling and opportunities to build outside of maybe physical locations, Amazon provides a great opportunity to grow in those spaces.
And just the breadth of knowledge that you must have on such a wide array of types of companies and businesses and how they scale and grow.
If by you mean Amazon and not Brandy specific.
I meant Brandy.
Oh,
She is
okay.
brilliant.
Like,
Yes,
yes,
how
let
about the
me
combination of
clarify
both?
just because we have Q&A at the end and
Yes.
I don't want them thinking I'm some type of guru.
Yes. Okay, Eric, can you tell us a little bit about how Amazon Web Services supports startups on a global scale?
Sure, Tami. Well, first of all, startups were the first to really realize the power of cloud computing. And they were early on in partnering with Amazon Web Services to grow their businesses. And you can see that impact of that partnership everywhere you look, right? Startups such as, former startups such as Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, Klarna, Netflix, all started with AWS, right? I think what sets us apart and makes us unique is we really deeply understand the startup lifecycle from founding and inception through to product market, MVP, product market fit, scaling. And therefore, we've created resources across the board to support entrepreneurs and startups throughout this process. Now, I think what I also talked about, I think what really makes us unique in that is I talked about this in my intro is the team we've assembled. I lead the worldwide startup team for Amazon Web Services, and we are a collection of former founders, entrepreneurs, investors. Myself, I was a CXO at a startup. If you don't have startup DNA, we help build it. And so what that does is it gives us an empathy and a deep understanding for what startups face, right? Both the opportunities and the challenges, and that affords us the ability to partner with them throughout the life cycle to make sure that we're bringing resources to bear to help them grow. I'll give you another example. We're going to talk a little bit about Activate later. Activate is known as a credit program, all right? And if you're not familiar with it, basically what we do is we provide AWS service credits to basically defer the cost of you building on Amazon Web Services. And we back from basically bootstrap to tier one back startups, you get access to these credits. And not only is it a credit program, but it's now a product too. What we've done is we've launched what's called the Activate console. And what this does, it simplifies the getting started process for startups. We got a new thing called Build on AWS. Basically, you can go in there and you can look at reference architectures, push a button, go through a chat bot, and automatically have the infrastructure, no DevOps required, set up for you. That's not just for say run-of-the-mill startups. We've got reference architecture for fintechs, for life sciences, for healthcare. So in other words, if you need a HIPAA compliant environment, we can help you do that. So that's a few of the ways that we really support. And then we think about really how do we support startups at the point of founding, and then as they scale through, and how do they grow their business. And so I can talk about that later about how we bring in experts around.
Great, let's keep that on point because I do think that's something really good to come back to. Angel, it's hard to believe that you only launched this company a few short years ago. And, look at you now speaking at one of the largest entrepreneurial event in the world, free entrepreneurial event. It's impressive. We're grateful that you're here. Can you take a minute and talk about that startup process? And also, I know you have these incredible values that you live by, both for the company and yourself. And we'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I started in 2019, so very fresh. We actually just had our 2-year anniversary on Sunday, so I celebrated with cupcakes. I started ICONI again while on active duty. The story is kind of crazy. I was working a night shift at 2 a.m. and I turned to one of my sergeants. I said, "I'm going to start an activewear company." He said, "It's 2 a.m. We're just trying to make it. We're just going to try to make it through the shift until 4 a.m., ma'am. Like, let's just get through the shift." So we made it through the shift, and I did start it. And he was like, "Oh, that was really cool that you actually started what you said. I thought you were just talking at 2 a.m." So, and then in our first year of business, we got into Oprah's Favorite Things, and so that launched the platform, and that actually brought me to Amazon. So with that Oprah's Favorite Things program, I got an account manager. I got to sell on Amazon. And I've been so thankful for all the opportunities, including this one. So when the Amazon team reached out to me to say, "Hey, would you like to talk on a panel?" I was like, "Me?" I just started selling on Amazon. It's definitely been a great process and really starting up. So very in the infancy stages of our business. And so some of the core values we have are philanthropy. So again, baked into the business, 10% of those profits going to nonprofit organizations. Excellence, with a military background, I want to have excellence in all we do. One of the Air Force core values. So I want to make sure I keep my customers happy, vendors happy, and then treat people with just respect and dignity throughout so again, some of those like basic things that I feel like people may skim over, but I want to make sure we had core values baked in, like, hey, this is what the business is going to be from the beginning. And if we get 1,000+ employees, we're still going to have these same core values. Thank you.
I do think that is good guidance to many of the entrepreneurs that may be listening in today, in the sense that if you don't know what you stand for, you really don't stand for anything, right? And I do think, especially as the ups and downs come on your entrepreneurial journey, you're faced with a lot of decisions along the way. And if you have that North Star, you can stay the course. So good reminder for everybody. Reza, first of all, a huge thank you for supporting Denver Startup Week. We can't provide this free and make it as inclusive as we are able to, because it's free, without great partnerships and support such as yours. But I do want to ask if you could share a little bit more about yourself and the beginnings of Pi.
Right. So Pi was founded in 2017 by John Swigert, our CEO and co-founder, who helped build Esurance for 13 years before it was acquired by Allstate, as well as Dax Craig, our other co-founder, which built Valiant Analytics here in Denver. These guys got together to create this company because they saw that small businesses were underserved in the commercial insurance market, so they created the business. We have a intense focus on how we do our pricing, the sophisticated pricing model that we have, very granular. And we also use data-driven market segmentation, customer segmentation, and this allows us to match risk and price very accurately across multiple types of businesses. And this allows us to give more affordable insurance to our customers. We sold our first policy in 2018. And really the story of our first customer kind of shows, how we can help small business owners. JP Construction, which is a flat work concrete company based out of Georgia, the owner in 2018 received a non-renewal notice for their insurance, for their workers' comp insurance. This was even though they had not filed any claims at all. So he calls the insurer, and the insurer basically tells him that it's no longer profitable for them to service any policy that's less than $10,000. And because of that, we're not renewing your policy. So thankfully, he went on Facebook and saw our ad and clicked the link, went to our website, got an online quote, and bought a policy for $6,700.
This was the very first.
Very first customer, right? And, it's good to know that he just recently renewed into his 4th term with us. So,
Yeah.
so this is really a proof of how we're helping small business owners from the very start. Since 2017, we've raised over $300 million in funding. We've grown our written premium, gross written premium to over $100 million annually. And we've also partnered with over 1,000 agencies across the nation. And also I wanted to throw in, something about us. We love pie puns. So,
Oh, good. We want a pie pun. Who wants a pie pun in the audience here? We want a pie pun.
We'll talk afterwards about your puns. We like to call ourselves pioneers, P-I-E-O-neers. And this panel, we would probably refer to it as a fireside chat.
Oh, I like the first one better. We'll work on that. There will be a prize at the end for the entrepreneur out there that has the best pie pun.
Right, exactly.
And I wonder if your first customer, does that customer get something big for their 4th anniversary?
I don't know, but
They just
I
get great
know that
access
we
to
care
information.
about, you know, our customers a lot and we take care of them. And I know that this customer is, we have a very close relationship.
Wow. It's a
with
true
this company.
testament that your first customer is still your customer.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Brandy, recently Amazon came out really strong in support of Black-owned businesses. And there are so many things happening in our business environment today to support Black-owned businesses. But I'm most impressed with Amazon's Black Business Accelerator. Can you talk a little bit about it and also how people can learn more and engage in that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. In June of this year, Amazon launched its Black Business Accelerator. It is backed by a $150 million investment over the next 4 years to provide financial support, marketing and promotional support, as well as business mentorship and guidance to Black-owned, retail-focused, product-based small businesses. The goal is to set them up for success as sellers in our store. So this is a program that was birthed out of employee passion. We have an employee by the name of Tiffany Johnson, who about 2 years ago sat down in her day-to-day work. She worked with small businesses who wanted to sell on Amazon and expand beyond, say, the US and go into Canada and Mexico, which is very easy to do on Amazon, by the way, if you sell product. And she saw, like, every day she was talking to people who were increasingly growing sales and finding success through whatever metrics they define that as. And she was like, you know, what if my community, like the Black community, had access to this? She was looking at whatever demographic she could through her video chats of people, and she didn't see Black entrepreneurs reflected in that. And so she wrote a famous word, PRFAQ, at Amazon, which is like this 6-page doc where you pour into like all the rationale and data and narrative you need to kind of shape this idea and prove out why it would be valuable. She wrote it and shopped it around in addition to doing her day-to-day job, and got the support she needed to bring that to market. And now we, in just the first few months, have thousands of Black business owners who are growing and have signed up to participate in this program, to have an account manager to guide them through everything from what does it take to just sell on Amazon? Like, how do I do that? To how do I incorporate advertising into my marketing and promotional strategy? Or how do I properly leverage this store for customer acquisition? So really any questions you have, this program is meant and designed to answer it. We have a video, which you all may have seen this. It was a national commercial featuring Tiffany Johnson, kind of talking about her journey. So I think we can cue that up now.
Great.
Only 6% of US retail businesses have a Black owner. That needs to change. So I did something. I created a Black Business Accelerator at Amazon. And now we have a program that's dedicated to making tomorrow a better day for Black businesses. I am Tiffany, and this is just the beginning.
And so Tiffany is very much an entrepreneur and entrepreneur. She's obviously inventing inside of Amazon, but she's an entrepreneur herself. She sells women's feminine hygiene products on the side, which running businesses is not easy to do on the side, as I'm sure many of you all know. So she is, leveraging resources across the board to help lift opportunity and awareness for these businesses, which I think is amazing.
I imagine Amazon just has countless stories of entrepreneurs within the organization. And it's great to put a face, isn't it? How about a round of applause for
Tiffany?
Really, thank you for sharing that. It's a good lesson for all business owners, founders, leaders, that ideas can come from all parts of the company. And obviously the culture there is one that is setting up that if you have an idea, you can bring it forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good lesson for all of us.
So for small business owners in the room or online who want to know more about the program or determine if it's something that you would like to join yourself, you can find information at amazon.com/BBA, which are the program's initials, or acronym BBA, amazon.com/BBA.
Thank you. You referenced something a little bit earlier about, it's hard to start up a new company. And I'm going to bounce this one back to Angel. We know it's hard. And you're still in the earlier stages of the founding of your company. Could you take some time and share some of the lessons that you've learned, just in general, but also in your relationship and collaboration with Amazon?
So working with Amazon, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is to ask for help. So your account manager, PR team, the public policy team, they're here to support you. So if you're a seller, there's no dumb question. They're not going to say, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And they have great seller support that's willing to help you out and answer every little question you may have. And I think just starting a business is just hard in general. And as an entrepreneur, you have to make sure you can balance your mental health as well as your bottom line. So whether I take hikes, therapeutic hikes to Red Rocks to make sure I'm able to do that. And then I think being genuinely nice to people, I know this sounds like cliche, has definitely helped. So I'm not going to waste Brandy's time. If Brandy tells me to be at a meeting at 11, I'm going to be there 10:59. So, and then, just being nice to the delivery drivers and every person that you interact with. So you treat everyone like a CEO. And I think just selling on Amazon, one of the hardest parts for me was just figuring out everything. I'm so glad I had an account manager to walk me through the steps. And I am actually in the Black Business Accelerator. So it's great just to get that mentorship from people, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, especially when you're in your first couple of years, you tend to turn inward, or you maybe just turn to your friends who maybe don't have businesses. So it's good to get that mentorship, and especially from people that are from Amazon that have a wide array of expertise.
Thank you. And obviously, the connection with Amazon has also been a great resource for you as well at Pi Insurance. And you've talked about the value that you've gotten from that. Can you talk a little bit about how that relationship started with AWS, and then how it's grown and evolved as your company has grown and evolved?
Just like Eric mentioned, we started with the credits, the startup credits, actually, in 2017. But like many startups, we moved fast, and focus on things like reliability or scaling were not built into the original system. So what we ended up doing was to reinvent, right? We had to basically redesign our infrastructure to make an infrastructure that could support our company and our business grow and scale as fast as we're going into the future. So with that, we started up a project with support from Amazon, whether it was through the account team or Amazon support itself on the training side, the Amazon training team. We had a lot of support. This was not an easy task. It was like, you can think of it like changing the engine on a race car while it's going 200 miles an hour around the track, right? And we didn't want to miss a beat, right? We didn't want our customer to notice anything change behind the scenes. So because of that, there was a lot of planning involved. There was a lot of guidance by Amazon, which then led to us, using more managed services instead of managing servers ourselves. Our databases, it was hard for us to manage them. We didn't have enough engineering resources to do that. So moving to managed services at the Amazon Web Services was really very beneficial for us. And now we continue our partnership with AWS, and it's been great. It's been great for us to grow with the help of AWS, and it's great to be part of that community, especially as Eric mentioned, there's a lot of startups on AWS, right? So there's startups to the, giants of, different business industries. So it's great to be part of that community and be able to interact with those companies.
Yeah, well, from the other side, maybe Eric, if you could expand a little bit on how that evolved as well. And then also, when companies are working with you, what kind of advice do you have that helps that relationship be the most effective that it can be?
Sure. And I want to thank Reza and Pi Insurance for the partnership. In many ways, the Pi Insurance AWS story is the quintessential startup story. As Reza talked about, founded in 2017, got their seed round. And at that point in time, one of our business development professionals worked with their venture capitalists and Pi Insurance to get them credits and get them started. In the early days, like most startups do, they really wanted to self-service, right? They want to know they had access to a solution architect and support or knowledge But really what they want to do is, hey, where are the resources to get me started? I know how to run containers. And that's what they did. They built on containers. They had a self-managed infrastructure. And as Reza said, they got to the point where, eventually once you get to that, past that product market fit and you start scaling, you had never really had to build or worry about reliability, testability, scalability. You were focused on developing features, which was the right thing to do. And when Reza came in, it really helped change that dynamic because they realized, wait a minute, we can't continue to throw resources at this. And so, our account team got involved, sat down, we did what's called a well-architected review, went through top to bottom, and then what we do is make recommendations. So that's where we sat down with the resident and said, well, today you're on containers, you're on self-managed databases. Like we've got infrastructure to help you do that. Number one, looking at a serverless infrastructure will help you scale with a heck of a lot less cost. And I'll get to that in a second because that's what also makes us unique. And let's look at your databases again. You're pouring a lot more time into managing your infrastructure rather than developing features and serving your customers. And so, that was where we got involved. And actually, it turns out I'm the executive sponsor for them as well. So, my account manager reached out when I was running the Americas team and said, hey, I'd like to sit down with Pi Insurance, talk about their business. We sat down with the CTO, Mike, and Reza, and we had a broad conversation about the strategy, where they wanted to go, not just simply now and around the infrastructure, but how they wanted to grow the business. And as Reza said, we've got connections to a lot of startups. And so I saw a parallel between what they're doing around the regulatory environment and what other fintech startups are doing around the regulatory environment. And so we recommend that, hey, we're willing to make some peer-to-peer introductions if you're interested in doing that. We see an opportunity for you to help because Pi Insurance, turns out insurance, if you don't know, is highly regulated, and it's regulated by state. And so the complexity they have to deal with is 50 regulations, not one, 50. And so, if you look at where their map is, they have to tackle these different situations. Other fintechs face a similar deal. They may not be in insurance, they may be in a different area. And so making that peer-to-peer connection is also really powerful. So that's some of the things that we do. And we think about this as a long-term partnership. We want to help them build their infrastructure. We want to help them grow. And I talked about cost. What makes us unique is we want everybody to do it at the lowest cost. We talked about the credits, but one of the things we sat down was how do we optimize that cost so that your capital is going to best use? Right? Your capital should be going to growing your business, not necessarily going into infrastructure. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I would add too, I think that when some of these companies are growing, they're scaling fast. They're dealing with everything from HR to client issues and much more, that this can seem overwhelming to them. And I imagine that maybe people need to understand that it's okay not to know what they don't know. Maybe you could talk about that, because I do think that sometimes founders and CEOs, entrepreneurs, they don't know what to ask. They don't know where to begin. And then when people start throwing around a lot of language that they don't understand, they don't dive in as deeply as they could to solve the challenges that they're facing.
And that's a good point, Tami. Here's a couple things, right? Two things. One, obviously founders come in many shapes and sizes, right? You got first-time founders and you got multi-time founders, right? The multi-time founders obviously have both the experience and the knowledge to deal with it. Where it comes in is the first-time founders. And we have a program that's called Startup Mentors, right? And I talked about the team that we've established. And so since we have that startup experience, we're in a position to help mentor. We also have people in the community that we turn to help mentor. So we've mentored over 1,500 founders. And what that does, it allows them to ask questions, get support. Obviously, a good portion of them have investors where they can turn to as well. A lot are bootstrapped. And so they don't have that infrastructure. And Brandy was talking about Black-owned businesses. We also look at underrepresented founders. And so a lot of underrepresented founders don't have the same access to capital and to support. And so that's why we built the Startup Mentors program. And that's a couple of things.
So where does somebody begin when they don't know what they don't know? So we have people out there that are attending Startup Week. They're hearing you talk about this. What's the first step that they take?
And you're talking about, hey, they have an idea they're going to launch.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the first thing to do, we've got a ton of resources online with respect to helping them get started, right? How do you get started on, if you have an idea and you want to start building out, how do you get started with that idea? How do you build your first, either it's a website or build your first product in your infrastructure? We've documented all that. I talked about Activate. They can apply, if you're a bootstrap founder, you can apply online Amazon.com, and I think it's /Activate. I could be wrong about the acronym, but you go look it
Yeah,
up.
let's
right?
get that out on
Yeah,
social media.
I'll get it for you guys. But you go.
We'll
So
push that out so
yeah,
people
so you get
can.
so they sign up, right? Then go sign up online. Founder can go and get immediate, almost near immediate access to those credits,
Great.
and they can start building. I talked about the console. So again, we're trying to really ease the process and simplify it for founders to get started.
Mhm.
If I may add,
Please.
there are some additional resources to that. I think I'll kind of just step on what Angel said. There really is no dumb question, and you do not have an expectation to know anything. I kind of opened with that in clarifying your expert statement. There are tons of things that I don't know, but there, in addition to the resources that Eric mentioned, there's Amazon's Seller University, which is a free resource, whether you sell on Amazon currently or do not, for you to learn everything from brand building 101 to customer acquisition to tips and tricks for selling on Amazon specifically, but building your brand on and off of our store. We also have Amazon Small Business Academy, which is not focused just on selling opportunities. It includes opportunities around building with AWS, how to become a DSP, what it takes to start a logistics business. So whether you're a startup or your small business, wherever your entrepreneurial journey is, there are free resources available through Amazon and AWS to help guide you.
And that's a good point. I mean, the other thing that we do is we have what we call the AWS lofts, and these are physical spaces. And back when we had that, but what they are, and we have virtual as well. But we have a physical space in many of the startup cities where you can get immediate access to Amazon resources, solution architects, account managers who can sit down with founders right there, get hands on keyboard, and help them. We've now extended that into the virtual space, so that you can get the same type of experience in a virtual environment. So, as we hopefully come out of this, you're going to have both the opportunity to go in person or virtual.
So in terms of these events or programs, are those some of the events that people should look to participate in? And then maybe talk about some of the in-person events, because I do think people are really getting ready to be back in person and to have that kind of collaboration with others. What are you seeing on the horizon for some of those activities?
So Amazon Small Business Academy is mostly virtual now due to COVID and things like that. But we are coming up on Amazon Accelerate, which is our second annual seller-focused conference. Last year, we had more than 15,000 people who came to learn about selling on Amazon if they're aspiring or are current sellers. So it's all about driving growth for retail product focused small businesses. And so that is October 20th and 21st. It is all virtual, and you can learn more at amazonaccelerate.com. But we don't have any immediate plans for face-to-face. We are working through the different tools and platforms that we can to create a truly holistic and more personal interaction through online tools at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're taking a similar approach at AWS, but we're actually, I'll make a shameless plug for our keynote event. We have
Startup Week is all about shameless plugs.
Yeah,
so
look.
bring them on.
Yeah, bring on. So AWS has reInvent annually. Obviously, last year was completely virtual. It starts November 29th and will run through December 3rd. We're going to do that in person, and we're going to do it online. So customers really have the choice. Do you want to be in person in Las Vegas and have that experience and be able to go into hands-on labs and builder series and talk to experts, or do you want to be online and view the sessions there? So we're trying to do both, right? And we're really excited because it's a big event for startups, a big event for enterprise customers, et cetera, to go to Vegas and just be able to get in touch with people. So we're excited that we're actually returning to an in-person.
And what type of cost would be associated with some of these programs?
I don't have, we'll have to look at it. I don't actually have the cost of attending reInvent off the top of my head.
Yeah.
The ones I mentioned are free.
Yeah,
by the way.
that's what I was. Startup Week loves free.
Oh, yeah, and it's a combination, right? Free and paid. So I don't actually have the full details.
So if you
but I'll
don't
get
have
that.
resources right now, you're in an early stage, leverage this intense wealth of information. Have the two of you, I know we talked about the accelerator, but have you participated directly, or are you looking at participating in some of these programs, initiatives, experiences yet?
Well, we're more focused on the technology side and
Yeah.
the cloud with Amazon, and we participate in the reInvent conferences. We're actually having people attend this year, which is going to be in person again. So it's really exciting to see that. It's a great event, by the way. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. It's huge. It's a great place to, you know, exchange ideas with people. And that's been great. You know, we've also participated in Amazon Web Services Awesome Days. These are free events that introduce Amazon Web Services to business owners, you know, including small business owners. So we take advantage of those where we can. And it's great to have an account team actually point us in the right direction, knowing what we need and what we want. So
I use the Accelerator Brandy mentioned a lot. So we get emails and there's webinars hosted by Amazon for that seller university. So you get that kind of in-person connection. And I definitely heavily rely on that, and then just heavily rely on my account manager for that experience. And then the Black Business Accelerator, my mentor in that program, I rely on him heavily as well to just give me guidance and mentorship about what programs that Amazon does have that I can utilize.
Well, it does seem as though there's so much that you really want to be able to figure out to navigate which programs are going to be the most impactful for your respective businesses. So, Eric, the generous contribution of AWS Activate credits for this year's Denver Startup Week pitch competition. Applicants and winners have access to these credits. Are there any additional AWS programs or services that the startups in our audience should be aware of?
Yeah, so number one, we're stoked. I'm stoked personally to be able to provide that in terms of the pitch competition, right? I think it's really important to be able to be out in the community and provide people access to Amazon Web Services. I hit on a couple of them, right? I mean, I think the biggest things that I love is the mentor program, because it really does allow that one-to-one, one-to-few interactions. The lofts are really big. We've got a whole set of programs around, we call it Amazon Web Services, partner network, right? So AWS partner network that enables startups to get certified, and then both list on marketplace as well as in co-sell with our accounts, right? And so if you're an ISV or B2B, that's really powerful. We also have resources then that work with the startups on their go-to-market, right? We talked about the business development resources. I used to run the sales team, right, for Americas, and obviously that's we think about sales very differently. It really is understanding the customer's outcomes, as Reza was talking about, and helping them get to the right infrastructure and the cost structure to do that. And then our business development team is really about empowering the startup to go to the next level and where they want to take it. So those are a couple of the resources. There's more programs that we've built. I mean, we've got everything from POC programs and others to support startups in terms of they're thinking about launching a brand new workload. How do we bring in, say, an SI partner who helps and knows startups to get them help to build that infrastructure if they don't have the expertise, right? So, for example, say you want to integrate machine learning, right, into your service or product. It's a great way for us to then provide a partner that helps you get that work done.
Great.
Yeah.
As I'm listening to this, I'm sure that you all are starting to think the same thing. The magnitude of the impact of Amazon to help companies start, grow, scale is remarkable. The depth and breadth, and I'm still blown away by the 2 billion businesses. That is just remarkable. Reza, how has Denver Startup Week and your relationship with AWS helped you build some unique collaborations or partnerships? And we have a really strong ecosystem here in Denver that we've strategically worked to build. So we really value how those cross-pollinations happen. I'd love to hear more about what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see the value in the Denver Startup Week. We sponsor it, obviously. And, Denver Startup Week or all the AWS events, these are great opportunities for us to interact with all kinds of businesses, not just in our own line of business, not just in insurance, but it could be healthcare, it could be education, or many different industries. And I specifically remember that I was at an event that there was a presenter presenting something, and they were in the healthcare industry, and at the time I was in the financial industry. And looking at it, just basically, I'm like, well, this is the same problem that we're trying to solve, right? But within a different context, right? Within looking at it from a different set of eyes. And I talked to him after his presentation, and we ended up talking and bouncing ideas off of each other. Oh, we're doing this, but you guys are doing that, and we want to do this. What do you think? And this interaction was great, and we get that type of interaction here in Denver Startup Week as well, and it's a great opportunity for us.
Well, it is a good reminder for us all to give back. One of the core ethos of Denver Startup Week is give first. So everybody has something to give, even if you've never founded a company yet. Perhaps your corporate experience is bringing something to new founders. So we just encourage everybody that's attending Startup Week this week to think about what you can give back. Our sponsors help make this free. And in turn, we just ask people to give whatever they can of their particular treasures and expertise. Something else that we love about Startup Week are trends. We love to know what's the future hold, what should our founders be thinking of. So I'm curious from Eric and Brandy, what are the trends that we should have our eye on? What are you seeing? What questions should we be asking or thinking about?
You want to start or you want me?
I can start.
You please.
I'll be quick. I'll center my answer around 2 points. Online selling through this last year, COVID, and all the disruptions for physical retail, we've seen an increased reliance on consumers purchasing online. So that means, being online is no longer just a nice to have or a nice to do. It is very much important for brand building and customer acquisition and sales. So I don't know how groundbreaking that is, but it certainly is a trend that's growing. And then I think on the other side of it, I'd say kind of the more things change, the more they stay the same. There are 3 value principles that has led Amazon over the years, and that's our customers value vast, wide selection, being able to, purchase all things, the A to Z store. Our customers value prices, like convenient prices, competitive prices, and they value fast and convenient shipping. And so those kind of 3 value pillars have continued to drive what it is that we offer consumers in partnership with the small businesses who sell with us. More than half of everything that is purchased on Amazon comes from a small or medium-sized business that sells in our store. So going back to kind of that opening point about small business success being our success, we have to empower their success and invest in them because it drives our customer obsession and it helps to please our customers. So those are the 2 trends that I'd mention on the retail side.
I'm going to introduce you to my wife's partners. My wife is a small business owner. Can I give another shameless plug?
No, it's unlimited.
All right.
It's
So,
infinity on the
so my
shameless
wife
plug.
owns a flower shop in Wash Park with 2 other owners, Flower Power. If you're interested in flowers, arrangements, they do amazing artistic work. Now, she's been working with her partners because they don't want to sell online, right? And so I'm gonna introduce you and have you have a chat with them.
Can I step in on that for a second?
Sure, man.
I don't know what the POV is that's preventing them from wanting to go online, but I do think a lot of it is that sometimes people feel a disconnect between shopping, supporting local, regional with online shopping, particularly shopping on Amazon. And those 2 things can coexist in the same space. We have a small business empowerment team that is all about driving success for small businesses selling in our store. If you go to amazon.com/support small, you get a storefront full of opportunities to purchase from small businesses by region or by category or, by product type. So there are opportunities to support Denver, Colorado-based small businesses on Amazon, artisans who make everything from earrings to intricate artwork pieces, or people who decide to resell toothpaste or, things that you might need in your day-to-day life. So those 2 things can exist in the same space, and small businesses on Amazon can be found at amazon.com/support small.
Let's
Awesome.
put that out on social so that people have an easy access to that.
Yeah, I think it's just it's old schoolness.
Okay.
I'll stop there because I'll talk about, because that's something I know nothing about. I'll talk more about the venture market and kind of what I'm seeing in startups. It was really interesting to kind of to be at the kind of the front row when the pandemic hit, March, right? It was really interesting just to watch the startup community, and really what we had to focus on was, a snap, unit economics, cutting cost, and that lasted through Q2 and then early Q3. You started seeing the venture markets open up. Q4, the venture markets in terms of capital raised and distributed were higher than they'd been pre-pandemic. And 1Q, there was 125 billion raised, right? And so what you're seeing is a couple things. Number one, venture capitalists are flush with cash, and so they're looking for investments. More startups are getting funded now in seed stage than ever before, right? And so what's happened is, the seed stages, number of seed stages increase, but also the size, right? And so the capital availability is unlike it's ever been in any other market, likely. You're also seeing A rounds get very large, and then C rounds when people really have a great idea and it's scaling, investing. So that's a couple of things. And if people are concerned about getting funding, now is the time to kind of start looking around. And we have a pretty vibrant seed stage capital group here in Denver. I was at the Colorado Venture Summit last week, got to meet a lot of them and talk to them, and they're very interested in the local community. And so I can probably make that list available, and they'd love to have people, entrepreneurs reach out to them. So that's one trend. I mean, I think the second trend, I talked about machine learning a little bit. I mean, what you're seeing is machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics really changing the nature of startups. All right. And Reza and team at Pi Insurance didn't start with with those services because they didn't exist 3, 4, 5 years ago. Right. And so now they've had to backward integrate. What we're seeing is the rise of artificial intelligence native, right? Customers or new startups are integrating that from the get-go, and it's helping change their trajectory from founding. And as they go through, it's open up new business opportunities for them. So it gives them new insights, into their customers and the data, and helps them therefore make very tailored recommendations for their customers, as an example.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I have a really important question, and then we're going to see if our audience has some questions. I think do we have time for a question? We all have time for one question. Well, my first question is actually back to the panelists for Angel. So we know what Oprah's favorite ICONI product is, but what is yours?
Favorite is the persistence legging that can be found on Amazon or our website, but I love all the activewear because I created it. So, but yeah, that's my favorite product.
You heard it from the pro, persistent legging. How are those sales going while we're up here? I just want to check. Let's see if we can take one question, because that's what we have time for. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Brittany. Any audience questions? All right.
All right.
We have a question.
Awesome.
No, I just wanted to make a comment. Is it Eric? Yeah.
Yes.
No, thank you for what you're doing. As a layman who buys stuff on Amazon, really doesn't sell on Amazon. It's really good to see that you're engaging with like US manufacturers versus the Chinese manufacturers. This is really cool to see that. And then a question is to Angel. What was the most challenging thing that you experienced when you started? Or maybe even like as you grew, what was the most challenging piece?
I think, well, I can remember the worst day of my entrepreneurial career is when I was supposed to have a shipment of leggings delivered to my home office. And the delivery driver said, oh, they got stolen. And it was right before Black Friday. And then I think I was like, okay, I can do this. And then no, I was just like on the floor. But I think that was the worst. He was able to recover some of the boxes, but 4 boxes of leggings were lost. And I think that was the hardest part of my entrepreneurial journey. But again, like referring back to why you started and your core values can keep you going, even those tough times. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that it was an emotional moment. During Startup Week, we try to express it, we're all humans. And founders see as it's still, there's an emotional component and a roller coaster of emotions around it. So just thanks for the vulnerability to say that you had that type of reaction to it. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much to our panel, and a huge thank you to Amazon for being our sponsor this year. I just think it's incredible the resources that are available. So we greatly value hearing more about it. I'm going to turn it over to Brittany Morris-Saunders, who's going to wrap us up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tami, for leading today's discussion. And to our panel, Brandy, Eric, Angel, and Reza, thank you so much for sharing your stories today and the resources that are out there for our community here in Denver and beyond. I know we have an audience beyond Denver watching, so hopefully this provided a lot of resources for you. As I mentioned, Amazon is small business. We are entrepreneurs. We were a startup ourselves, as Brandy mentioned. So we are really here to support you and appreciate this opportunity to tell you more about the tools and resources that Amazon and AWS has and how it has helped our small businesses and entrepreneurs here in Denver. So thank you all again. And I think with that, we'll close and move on to the next program. Thank you, Denver Startup Week.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.